I've commented before on previous episodes when we're talking about equalization or the pension plan and such like this. We're coming up in 2025 to our federal election. And if you're to believe what the polls say, it looks like it's going to be an overwhelming conservative majority with Pierre Poilievre at the helm. And we know from Danielle Smith's campaign when she was campaigning to be leader of the UCP, when asked about her relationship with Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives, that she has a good relationship with him. In fact, they used to work together as he's an Alberta boy originally, and they have that positive relationship. So here in Alberta, there's a concern that, and I share this concern if I'm going to be completely transparent, that the relationship is such that he might be able to convince her to not go forward with that in exchange for whatever else he's going to give her. Maybe he'll give her the ability to make a pipeline or the ability to do something with resource revenue or something, because of course Pierre's interests would be federally and not necessarily centered on Alberta, whereas our provincial government, I think, should have their interests centered around Alberta. What do you think about this? Do you think that this is a fair concern? Do you think that are there protections built in to stop this from happening? What do you guys make of this?
Go ahead, Tanner.
Sure. I think your point is a genuine one. You're quite right. Poilievre has federal interests at heart because he's a federal leader. He has to appease and appeal to the East if he wants to win power. If he only looks at Alberta and Alberta only, then he's not going to win the election, and so he won't gain a seat. And as far as he's concerned, all will be lost. Now, Conservatives in Alberta will vote for Poilievre whether he supports the pension plan or not. Right? Whether he supports an APP or doesn't support an APP. Now, he said he's not supporting it, but regardless, whether he supports it or not, Conservatives will still vote for Poilievre. So it's in his interest to, at least his self-interest, to not support an APP. Because by doing so, at the very least, he won't lose votes in the East. He might well lose them and probably would lose them if he said, I support an APP. The Eastern voters would say, I don't like that for 1 second. I'm not voting for you anymore. But if Poilievre instead says, I don't, has been diminished substantially. So your concern is warranted. How would it look? Well, this is actually maybe more to Nicole's point and the, what was I going to say? The urgency with which the Alberta First Pension Plan want to speed at which you guys want to have the referendum and get this done.
Absolutely. Thanks, Tanner. We would absolutely love to have this referendum completed and done by the end of May, but obviously that's a very short time away. So our goal is a big feat. We have 90 days once we do start a petition to have 270,000 signatures, and these signatures are. There's an agenda for obviously Pierre Poilievre as well. He needs Alberta in the mix and running. And so I do believe that this pension must be switched over and a referendum had before the next federal election. And so we would like this to be done and completed by September so that we can get that referendum started and going so that it happens before a federal election, because Alberta's voices need to be heard, and people really need to have the awareness as to what's actually happening when it comes to a federal versus the provincial government working for Alberta. That's their job, and it's time that we held them accountable to doing what is best for Albertans. And I do definitely think that a pension plan brought home to Alberta is in the best interest of all Albertans. And people might not see that at this point, but for a lot of people, change is hard. And sometimes the best thing comes with change. And I think we need to jump